We already have enough mental health issues with eating disorders and anxiety and depression. We don't need eco-anxiety being added to that as well. He needs to understand that he can't keep sheltering us from the reality of the world. We know that there's bushfires blazing across our country, and that's the truth.
Today,
we're
responding
to
statements
from
Australian
politicians. Go team.
Oh, this is my favourite one.
Oh, yes.
We've got to caution against raising the anxieties of children.
I want children growing up in Australia to feel positive about their future. Prime Minister Scott Morrison.
Well, what future?
You can see right now it's not needless anxiety. Thousands of people have lost their homes. Tens of thousands of people are evacuating. People in the inner cities are seeing smoke everywhere. People are going to hospital. People are choking. There's a billion animals lost. It's not needless anxiety. This is real anxiety because this is the life we're living right now, and the future is even scarier. The only thing you can do to alleviate our needless climate anxieties is by taking meaningful climate action and abiding to the Paris Agreement and taking further steps. Well, because fossil fuels are one of the things that our lifestyles depend upon. And if we try and do without fossil fuels,
here, especially in Australia, and especially over Christmas, it is something that can't be done. Liberal MP, Craig Kelly.
Craig Kelly. Okay.
I just don't see how these people represent Australia when our country is literally on fire. So thank you for doing nothing about this.
Well, you're saying that over Christmas, fossil fuels will be needed to be used more. The thing is, the technology to store this is already been made and we will be able to store it. And as well, over Christmas, isn't that summer? So there'd be more solar power being available. So that kind of cancels out the argument that just because it's Christmas we need fossil fuels. If we had been on renewables right now, it could be the same with that.
See, I find it really interesting that you would say that fossil fuels are intrinsic to the Australian way of life. Yes, I do think they're a major part of our economy and we do need to ensure a just transition for fossil fuel communities because that's only what's fair on them. But I also think a major part of the Australian identity and way of life is having blue skies. It's being able to go to the beach and have breathable air and not to have your entire country on fire. So I feel like it's pretty unfair to say we just can't do without fossil fuels because we also just can't do without breathable air or homes to live in or ecosystems that aren't dying.
And with Christmas, I think, isn't coal meant to be for people who are bad, not for people who are good? I should stress that there is no dispute in this country about the issue of climate change globally and its effects on global weather patterns. And that includes how that impacts Australia.
The government I lead has always made that connection and has never been in dispute. From ScoMo.
I'm very sorry I zoned out and I didn't comprehend any of that.
Well, if it's never been in dispute, then why haven't you done something about it?
They try very hard to make it clear that yes, they do believe in climate change, they know it's real, but I don't think they realise that that actually makes them look so much worse. It's like, it's not a good thing, obviously, to just say you don't believe in climate change. That makes you look like an idiot. But it's so much worse to say, yes, we know climate change is real, yes, we know it has these impacts, and yet we don't care.
If that's never been in dispute, why did 350,000 Australians go on strike in September saying that the government needs to act more on climate change? If that's not in dispute, I don't know what would be. There's 350,000 people is a lot of people.
One model we could apply would be to use a gap year system from ADF experience and offer payment of individual HECS or VET fees for members.
If this doesn't deliver the response required, we may need to prepare the idea of reinstituting a non-military national service scheme. And that's from the Labour MP, Mike Kelly.
Just, like...
Oh God. Well, throughout high school, I kept getting told that I shouldn't take 2 days off of school to go and support climate action. And now I have to take a whole year off after high school, after all that studying, to go and help something that could have been prevented.
There is no way that people are actually going to want to do this. Sure, there might be some people who want to do this, but majority of people want to live their life without having to do a compulsory year of non-military government service.
See, what I find interesting about this is that one of the direct quotes is, if this doesn't deliver the response required. But the thing is, the only reason you would instate this is because politicians are not delivering the response required. I sort of think this is a bit of, not to be too wild, but I feel like politicians could always just, instead of introducing some new military scheme, they could just start doing their jobs that they are paid and elected to do and literally make a living off of, maybe do some actual actions, maybe pass some things in Parliament that actually help the people. I mean, it might be a bit too much, but it's just a
Pretty
thought.
wild. Pretty
it's
wild,
just
bro.
a thought. So,
Oh, yes. I have a lot to say about this quote. Okay.
We're committed to all of these things, but I will tell you what we're also committed to. Kids should go to school.
What we want is more learning in schools and less activism in schools. And this is by our Prime Minister, Scott Morrison. Now, one thing about this quote, which I just love the story behind this, because this was shortly before Australia held our first school strike for climate on November 30th, 2018. And we generated a bit of interest. We were growing a bit, people were interested in what we were doing, but we hadn't quite broken into the mainstream. And then, suddenly, Scott Morrison responds to a question about what he thinks about the school strikes.
it was the best press.
Yeah, it was
The
insane.
best press.
Everyone was so mad. I've never seen school kids get so frustrated by our Prime Minister saying how we should be in school and we need less activism. And because of that, suddenly we're getting international news. I was being interviewed by CNN and SBS and BBC, and we were blowing up. And it was those couple days before the strike actually happened that suddenly everyone cared about us and everyone knew about us. And it was largely in part due to Scott Morrison having such an awful quote and hating us so much. So thank you, Scotty, from marketing.
By saying that we're going to learn more in school than at the strike is completely wrong. Even over the past year, I've learnt so much that I wouldn't have learned at school, nowhere near. I've gotten so many new skills, we've learned better teamwork. This isn't stuff that I would have learned at school. This isn't stuff that I will learn at school in the coming years.
Thing is that we wouldn't be striking if you did your job, because we have tried to hold normal protests, we've tried to write letters, we've tried to meet with MPs, we've tried playing by the rules, and you don't give a shit. But suddenly, we take a single day off school, and most people were only taking a half day, and you care about us, and we're making this international media, and our voices are really being amplified, and suddenly they matter.
We've had fires in Australia since time began, and what people need now is a little bit of sympathy, understanding and real assistance.
They need help, they need shelter, not the raving inner city lunatics at a time. This is from our Deputy PM, Michael McCormack.
Woo.
What a guy.
I'd rather be a raving city lunatic than doing nothing when I have the power to do something in government, so it's pretty funny.
Yeah, again, they always go for the statement that oh, we've always had fires before and we've always had hot days before and extreme weather events, but we've never had fires like this before. This is completely unprecedented, and no one's arguing we haven't had fires.
Well, also, it's the fact that sympathy isn't going to help calm the fires down. It's getting some climate action, which our politicians seem to not even consider. So it's just ironic that they give all these statements out and then go and do nothing about the crisis that they have at their hands.
But also on the note that it's this idea that people want your thoughts and your help and for you to send all your love and emotions towards them. And it's really disheartening to see Australians treat climate change the same way Americans treat gun control. But your sympathy and your kindness are only going to do so much if you don't actually take action, if you don't have plans and tangible actions, and if you're not actually trying to reconstruct the systems that we do rely on.
I think reading these, it's really anchoring and it's really frustrating because these are our so-called leaders, but people are continuing to see how ridiculous these quotes really are, and seeing more and more people realize this and willing to fight for a difference and willing to take to the streets, it is really inspiring. So I think that 2020 is going to be a massive year, and I think that people really are going to put their foot down and say that they're not willing to take this in action from our leaders any longer.